Skokholm Island Bird Observatory. This was going to be the home for 15 members of the Newport Amateur Radio Society for the next 7 days. Starting from Martin's Haven, which is on the southwest point of Wales, our first task after unloading the Land Rover was to transport the 1.5 tons of equipment, which included 18 scaffolding poles, across the cliff path and down to the landing jetty. From this point onwards, what lay in store for us was completely unknown. How big was our boat? How would it take all of our equipment? Was transport available at the other end? What was the accommodation like? All these questions and more would be answered in the fullness of time. Skokholm Island is one of a group of islands which lie off the west coast of Wales. We were going to activate 3 of these islands, weather permitting, namely Skokholm, Grasholm and Skokholm. Skokholm being our main base. Although both Skokholm and Grasholm have previously been put on air, both islands have 2 squares for WAB, one of which on each of the islands had never been activated. So our job was to put them on air for the first time. As we continue getting our equipment together, the boat arrived to take a party of trippers around one of the islands, and we decided that it probably would take all of our equipment and ourselves. Loading of the boat complete, and we were on our way. Once on the island, the warden's dumper truck took our equipment from the quay up the cliff path to our accommodation. Our first task, once arriving, was to erect the main aerial. This was done in about an hour and a half.
St. Q, I said the frequency.
George India Hotel. George 4 Alpha Kilo Florida, over.
George 4 Alpha Kilo Florida. I think it is your 559 on the island of Skokholm. Many thanks for the call. There you have a serial number of 022. And back comes to you, G4 Alpha Kilo Foxtrot from GW4EZW.
By the end of the afternoon, we were operational on 2 meters, 70 centimeters, 10, 15 and 20 meters. 40 and 80 meters, however, were to be left until Sunday. Dinner was at 7:30 prompt. Although our accommodation was Spartan, we were very well catered for by the warden Mike and his assistant Sue. The island's laboratory was turned into the radio shack.
Yes, okay, keep the chance. Just stand by and then we'll get on board. You have a serial number of 025, okay? Serial number 025 on the QSL crowd, which will help us to check the logbook. And if people are working us on...
There were 8 chickens kept on the island to supply us with fresh eggs. Sometimes. Saturday saw the 21st birthday of Gary, GW4EZW. This rather nice birthday cake was brought over to mark the occasion. It was made by Margaret, GW4SUE, and I must admit, at afternoon tea at 4 o'clock, oh, it went down a treat. When Mike, the warden, first saw the VHF array on the Sunday morning, he was a little concerned. We knew not why, until we noticed that the 17-element tonner had been reduced to a 15-element tonner overnight. When dusk falls on the island, it is transformed from the peaceful haven that we knew to a seething mass of shearwater birds which come raining out of the sky to return to their chicks in the burrows. Needless to say, on subsequent nights, just as it got dark, we had to close down the VHF operation and pull down the aerials.
By the looks of it, there's plenty of room on it for you, Dave.
Yes.
Monday morning saw the departure of 6 members of the group to Grassholm Island. Dudley, GW6ZUQ, Dave, GW6DFX, Gary, GW1XXN, Robert, GW0FXC, John, GW8SVN, and Ray, GW0BNP. Landing time was limited to 1 hour, and so activity was restricted to arranged skeds and a WAB group. Margaret, SUE, had already compiled a list and was ready to relay on 80 and 40 metres so as to save time. Grassholm Island is a small lump of rock sticking out of the water, about 1¼ hours boat ride from Skokholm, and is home for approximately 150,000 gannets. And believe me, 1 hour on that island is enough for anybody, as the stench of the birds' droppings is quite overwhelming. When the group arrived, all the gear had to be manhandled over the rocks, and then up a steep climb to the operating locations. Dudley, GW6ZUQ, was in charge of the VHF section with his 5-element tonner and his battery. He sat alone amongst the dung. Some might say that this is where he belonged, but that's another story. The HF station comprised of an FT707, a car battery, and a pair of inverted Vs for 40 and 80 metres. And so, after an hour, it was time to leave. Not a great deal done, but at least a few people managed to get that rare square that had not been heard before. After a trip around the island, the group returned to base in good time for dinner at 7:30 prompt. Well, first 2 real days of operation over, and our QSO rate was slightly down from our target. But what we didn't know when the targets were set was that we were going to have all our meals together at set times. Breakfast at 8:30, morning coffee at 11, lunch at 1, afternoon tea at 4, and dinner at 7:30. If you didn't turn up, you missed it. This took an hour and a half at least off our operating time during the day. Tuesday morning, as the routine starts, the bird watchers go on their tour of the island to do their bird count. The generators are checked and refueled. And the main aerial system appears to be okay. Even the locals seem to be quite happy, set in their routine. Skokholm Island in the distance is set cool. Ray, GW4EZW, decides that 3 days is quite long enough to go without a wash, so he decides to brave the ice-cold water, ably assisted by Anne, a GW1XVN. The water supply for the island is collected in rainwater butts on each building, and when this runs out, there is a small well at the end of the island which also provides drinking water. And so, water is a very rare commodity on the island. Have you ever noticed how radio amateurs always hate lazing around in the sun doing nothing? Well, our Ken, GW6ZJO, in the red, decided to do something about this boredom and set about not quite making rain, but probably the next best thing, making hot water. So, how is it done? Well, let's ask Ken to do the description. After all, it's his invention.
Washing in cold water is no good at all to anybody, particularly you. So we decided to build something. Over there we have a scrappy. Odds and ends, and would you believe? No water, no cold, no running water, no electricity. We found central heating radiators. One central heating radiator, old hose pipe, a bedstead to hold it up, and a snow cemetery. What have we got? Warm water. Success.
Whilst Ken was making his hot water, there was real work going on. Robert, GW0FXC, was volunteered to do the bracken cutting. Over 2 or 3 days, and on and off in between operating, he did manage to clear a large area of grassland. We all had to take turns in doing the chores. Ken and Colwyn, GW6AJQ, are shown here doing the washing up, while Sue, the warden's wife, was busy preparing the evening meal. Thursday morning came and it was time to pack for our trip over to Skokholm Island. The weather was set fine and the sea calm. The HF and VHF aerials were erected in a short time and we were on air. Because time was limited, we were operating mainly for WAB. Once this was over, it was a free-for-all.
One hold with you. Thank you very much once more for the contact and look forward to receiving the award. And certainly there'll be QSL cards.
That's £3 we got.
All the best.
Paid the landing fee.
Dudley, GW4EZW took charge of the VHF net, with the assistance of Rob, GW0FXC, Dave, GW8DFX, and Ray, GW1FJI.
I say many thanks for the QSO, and the award is worth having. For the sure, it looks quite nice. Mike, we're all trying to work each other to make sure we get one as well. 7-3s, and we may catch you on the next expedition in a couple of years' time. Mike, my apologies. G60WX portable, GB2 Whiskey Item Echo on Skokholm signing. 7-3s. Yeah, can you break into the net for us? Can you break into the net? GB2 Whiskey Item Echo.
I can't hear them at the moment, Dad. They were here very strong a while ago.
Roger, okay, Mike, yes, so I can just about hear them. QRZ WAB net. QRZ at WAB net. QRZ at WAB net. Golf Bravo 2 Whiskey Item Echo. Golf Bravo 2 Whiskey Item Echo calling into the WAB net. QRZ.
Yeah, okay, good morning, Julian. Golf Whiskey 4 Yankee Italy Whiskey. Julian, you're 5 and 9. 5 and 9.
Who's that?
Possibly just a small amount of distortion with you for talking, Julian. 5 and 9, okay, over?
Yes, okay there, Mike. Many thanks for the 5x8. You are 5x9. 5x9 from GB2WIE.
That's a lot better, but the report I gave you, I can tell my 5 and 9. I also gave you 5 and 9, and that's a lot better audio now, Julian. 5 and 9, over?
Yeah, many thanks, Mike. I can't read my own writing. QSL.
Yeah, okay, see you again.
The HF net was handled by myself, GW4JBQ, and then Ray, GW0BNP. Golf 0 Charlie Hotel November, many thanks for that. You are 5x4, 5x4, QSL.
Yes, sorry, QSL the 5x4. Many thanks. Carol, CYL.
Good morning, Julian. Golf Bravo 2 Whiskey Italy Echo. You're 5x9, 59 from G0DYL.
Yeah, G0DYL, thank you for the 5x9. You are also 5x9, QSL.
QSL the 5.
Julian, GB2WIE, GW4RVA, name is Sarah, in Carmarthen, in fact not too far from Courtney, and you're 5 and 5 with me, Julian, go ahead.
Roger, many thanks for the 5x5, Trevor. Very good morning to you. You are 5x8, 5x8 on the island of Skokholm. GW4RVA from GB2WIE, QSL.
Okay, GB2WIE, GW4RVA. Okay, thank you, Julian. Very good morning, Margaret. Tell Ray, I hope he's not putting on too much weight. GB4WIE, GB2WIE, GW4RVA.
For the Golf Whiskey 4 station, stand by a minute please. The Golf 5 Lima Papa stroke mobile. Very good afternoon to you. Name is Ray, Romeo Alpha Yankee, and your signal report of 5 and 7, 5 and 7. G5 Lima Papa stroke mobile. Golf Bravo 2 Whiskey India Echo.
Well, thanks a lot, Ray, for coming back to the call. I missed you on the net this morning. Very pleased to contact you. The name is Lionel Lima India Oscar November Echo Lima. You're also 5x7. Thank you for the 5-7. Please give my regards to Maureen. Please pass on my regards to Maureen. And we have corresponded. I was on the Lundy expedition last year. Thanks a lot for the call.
Who's that?
And Maureen. To the QDH at the moment. the M25.
Sharif, what's coming out of that?
Near Hemel Hempstead, QSL Ray.
Roger, Roger, QSL Lionel, many thanks indeed for the call-in. Thank you indeed for those good wishes, and we'll pass on your message there. All the best, and 7-3. Could you give me a signal report, Lionel, over?
Ray, there was a Maureen on the Neen Valley group. You got the wrong group.
And the name is Lionel, Lima India Oscar, November Echo Lima, on the M25, M25.
Well, by mid-afternoon we were on our way back to Skokholm, not quite knowing what was in store for us on our return. There was more work to be done. The helicopter was bringing out 27 tons of sand, cement and building blocks, and this all had to be unloaded. As the Sea King was making its droppings, we had to suspend operation on 2 meters and lower the mast because of damage to the aerials. In fact, the 2-meter aerial lost 2 of its elements. There was quite a bit of damage done to the buildings due to the downdraft from the helicopters. The HF beam was blown off its heading by about 90 degrees, so Muggins here had to shin up the pole to put matters right. Thursday afternoon was work. There was the landing stage to be scrubbed with lime to keep the seaweed down. He's inventing the diving bell. Mike the warden was taken off the island on Thursday afternoon to pay a visit to Haverfordwest Hospital with a throat infection. Unfortunately, we weren't to see Mike again that week as he was kept in for treatment and didn't return to the island until the following Wednesday. Do you remember Ken's hot water? Well, we decided to put it to some use. Professor Ken reinvented the shower. One snow sand Tim, a length of hose, and a bit of copper tube with some holes cut in it. Who's going to try it out? Oh dear, it's Ray again. That's twice he's washed this week.
I am. Oh, I did. Got to give you some water. Oh, I can't put my stuff on now.
The cold one, Julia.
I think I put in the bottom. That's it. Oh, that's beautiful. Lovely. Oh, that's gorgeous.
This is going to go to our FQB headquarters.
Hang on then, I'll take one shot of that again.
Go on then, quick, while I got some film there. G2TA came across to the island in his wetsuit to collect his QSL card. So seeing as Ray was the cleanest, he did the presentation. Friday morning was our last contact with home before pulling the plug and packing up to leave.
Hello Roy, Bob on the mic this time. How are you, you miserable old perisher? Yes, we had beautiful weather, beautiful food, and I just found the quick way of taking the tower down. Very sharp side. So get some more aluminium poles and another tri-band for us. So we'll look forward to seeing you at the next club meeting club before, and I'm sure we can rustle up a QSL card for you and the certificate. I believe you worked more than 3 operators by now. You're bound to have. We worked 15 in a row.
Do a couple of 5 and you can have 3.
Yeah.
Come on.
Quick, Ray,
come here, Bob. Ray, it would be best if you came round this end.
Get up that end, right.
There, whoa.
Whoa, right.
That's it, great. Ready?
Ready. Where are you going?
Oh, click.
Click. There we go.
Click. Don't fall over, whatever you do. After lunch, at about 3 o'clock, we had photo call underneath the tower. When this was over, the fun began.
Which one? Click.
That's it.
The other one hasn't gone. You put a little light on the top that goes beep.
We have to put a key tone on it.
Here we go!
Ray!
It's going!
It's going.
Dudley decided that he'd better debug himself before going home, so the shower was brought out again. Note the modified shower head.
You two can have a body like me if you're not careful.
I better stand downwind of it. How much you pay for that kit, Dudley? Oh, come on, lads, I can get tired first here. Right! Oh! I thought you said it was hot! We said it wasn't cold! Flipping it. It's cold now. Tell my mummy, you. Go nice. There. Not in your front. Shower good? You want a shower good? Oh, it's cold. You haven't thrown the towel away. You remember water, Dad? Have we got a lot for bowl? It's cold.
The greater spotted sand and brick carrier was back in the afternoon with more building materials. We thought the local transport was probably better at carrying this stuff than we were, so we employed the services of the dumper truck. Certainly made light work of the job. We did leave a small reminder of our stay in the island's chat log. Cartoon was courtesy of Linda, GW4EZW. A little bit more of this later on.
Ah!
A robin. What's that black and white? That's a witcher.
Wheatear.
Wheatear. Wheatear.
Hello, Robinson. So,
I'm going into Wheatear scatter. Any more ropes?
Hello, chicken.
Over there behind you.
Will we leave, Eddie?
Yes, to tie the poles on top of the Land Rover.
Yes, that might be handy to tie something here then on the bag.
Leave it 2 meters of rope like that and a bit of stretch elastic. Because it ties all the aerials on the roof in there.
Alright. I'm going to have to strip that down and get all the muck out of it. I'm afraid the island's taxi service left a lot to be desired. It was a bit primitive in its form.
Taxi!
Got the sign on the wrong side now.
As with all good things, the local fuzz are always around to break up a good time. Professor Ken decides to make a breathalyzer. But JBQ manages to resist arrest with his usual subtleness. Our last job was to fill the butts with water from the well, so that next week's guests would be able to enjoy the same facilities that we had. Our last dinner was over by about 8:30. John, GW8SVN, made a small presentation to Sue.
Right, let's have a bit of decorum here a minute.
Two pints, have a slice of decorum.
How big? Right, so from the group, we are exceedingly thankful and grateful for all the efforts you've made to keeping us, or some of us, certainly the food has been absolutely excellent. We're most pleased. And just a small thank you for both you and Michael, unfortunately he's not here. But
you didn't spoil yourself next week.
Also, for Paul, just a little card, and for Hugh, many thanks for your help and friendship. It's been absolutely superb, and perhaps we would certainly like you to have our award, which we are sending out around the world, in red or yellow, but we would like you to probably hang this in the lounge or somewhere.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And when you go off to the winter, make sure you take it with you.
Thank you, everybody. From both myself and Michael. I'm sorry he's not here. Thank you. And
We'll see you in January soon.
Yes. Thank you all for all the help.
Drop in and see.
No? Buzzard?
Yes.
One. Kestrel. Not being seen today.
Didn't see him today.
Not today. Peregrine? No. No? Oyster catcher?
Yes.
The final packing complete, the bird log being written, we finished off the rest of the booze and it was time to settle down for the night, ready for an early start in the morning.
More? A lot this morning.
Lap point.
6.
Young men.
Typical.
I have to look at it at my leisure. Oh, you're
I've
looking at it.
got to read this.
I like to sit down on a Saturday afternoon when everybody's gone and remembers me about everything, reminds me.
Well, there are a couple of entries in the chatty and observation log. And,
oh gosh, was it?
No, it wasn't me. I wrote it though. It just says the 1st of August 87 to the 8th of August 87. And it's written through the eyes of someone standing basically nothing to do with us, but I won't mention his name. It came to pass that one quiet Saturday in August a party of hams landed on the quay. The boat landed and quickly departed. I wonder what they knew. What did this lot know about birds? Everything was a sparrow or an eagle. Didn't they know a Dartford warbler when they saw one? They started to erect 2 metal trees with perches on the top that rotated. Was this a new form of bird watching? They kept on about Yargies, G5RVs, tribanders. Must be Russian species. In the lab they set up equipment and started calling CQ into microphones. Was this a mating call? People kept replying QSL 73 and other sinister phrases. People called G2TA arrived in boats to collect bits of paper, which seemed to be important. They departed the grass home on Monday and Skokholm on Thursday. What peace. Carrying batteries, bits of wire and posts. Maybe they were building fences in the dark. One was silly enough to want to be deposited on grass home. On Monday night they were taken to see the storm petrels. On Monday night they were taken to see the storm petrels landing, but not one of them would jump down and see. We even tried to frighten them off with shearwaters dropping from the sky, but all they could hear was, "Caw, look, there's another oomie-goody bird." Eventually after... Behave yourselves. Eventually after calling CQ enough times, a big yellow bird dropped in. "Look at Sea King," said one. "No," said the other. "It's a greater yellow sand and brick carrier." The conversation at lunch became, "Got us scared at 2100. Must call the net. Couldn't get into whiskey. Serves them right, they only brought beer and wine." And it came to pass on Friday, the metal trees were cut down, aerials put away for another time, and life returned to normal. On 7.3s on behalf of the Newport Amateur Radio Society. We have put a few explanations in there as to what some of the terms mean.
A glossary of terms.
And we've also left you...
We've caught us a little bit.
We've also left you a cartoon in your book. Courtesy of Linda.
Well, it was Saturday morning, the sun was bright and hot, and it was time to make a move. The equipment was loaded onto the dumper truck and taken down to the boat.
Oh, it's time to stop now, folks.
So there was a hole there.
Fill up any hole.
Fill up any hole once.
Right, you can't drive in, but that's where we're going, yeah?
But
I guarantee
you
nothing.
Not paying.
Yeah.
What? Camera?
The little camera.
Which, what was it? The brown case right on the top there?
There you are, right there.
Bye. Thanks everybody.
Our farewells said, and we were off. We arrived back at Martin's Haven in the early afternoon, leaving behind Ken's heat exchanger, the mended dinner bell that we heard every day, and all the other little jobs that we had to do that week. The memories of this most enjoyable week will never be forgotten by any of us.